What's good, everybody? It's your girl Richay here, back again with another video. Welcome back to my channel, and of course, welcome back to my very messy living room. Hopefully y'all can't see too much of it, but if you do, just ignore it. So we're actually doing another thrift flip today. You guys know I love thrift flips. They make me so happy. That's all that I really wanted to do when I was in high school. Unfortunately, now I don't have time for it, but today we're transforming this lovely blue dress, and we're actually gonna make it super cute. I did do a drawing for you guys, so we're gonna go ahead and show it right here. And of course, let's get on to the video. So here's what it looked like before. It was kind of shapeless, extremely long for my taste, and just overall really boring, but I love the pattern. So the first thing I'm gonna do is actually turn it inside out and seam rip this tag because I have to get to the back seam. Now this tag is already cut off for some reason, so I don't really need to worry about it. And I can't really tell you guys the size, but basically I have to take apart all of this serged edge in order to install a zipper in the very back. And yes, if you're wondering, it's totally gonna take a while. So I hope you grab your seam ripper, your scissors, and your zipper, and let's go ahead and get started. It's not a invisible zipper, but we're gonna treat it as such, and we're gonna put it right in the middle of the seam, and we're gonna pin it down. At least that's the goal. So apparently I did not get that on record, but basically I'm taking the teeth of the zipper and lining it up in the middle of the back seam that I just spread open. So as I line it up, I put a pin in it. That way it stays in place. And then I'm gonna do the rest of this, and then I'm gonna take it to the machine and sew all the way down both sides, so that way the zipper stays. Alright, I have a working zipper. You're welcome. So I'm just gonna finish up here now. Alright, so at the moment this is what we got. We got our zipper. It zips up perfect. It's installed perfectly. Now moving on. What we're gonna do is we're gonna find that little piece of the side where the ties are in, because guys, it's currently inside out. We're gonna find the tie. And what we're gonna do is, it's right about here. Before we take this out, we're actually gonna use it as a measurement. So the goal, this is where your waist is basically. So I want to take 4 inches off of this entire dress. I said 4, right? I hope it was 4. So here's how I put the darts in it. I actually felt, because I have a tie at the waist. If you don't have a tie at the waist of whatever outfit you find that looks similar to this, you're gonna have to find your waist and put a pin. But I have a tie at the waist, so what I did was I looked for the thickest part of the seam and I felt around, and I felt the top part closest to the armpit. And I took my ruler, yes, this is correct, don't mind the tape. I took my ruler and I measured from this seam right here 4 inches out at the very top of the ribbon, and 4 inches out I put a little pin, and then I folded it up about 1 inch. Then from that pin, I went down 1.5 inches because that's how big I want the dart, and I put a pin there. And then I took it to my sewing machine and I sewed the 1.5 inches right there. And I did that to every side. So you should have this awkward little puckering situation on each side, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's on. This is what it looks like. See, now you have a cinched in waist. Keep in mind, we're removing these straps because we don't need them. But you have your cinched in waist. See, it does a little dart. Not a dart, it's a little pleat is what it is. And what we're actually gonna do is we're gonna go back and make a square or rectangle, we're gonna sew a rectangle. We're gonna flatten it out on the outside, and we're gonna do a sewing rectangle so that way it stays the way it is. So here's the back, and here's the side. Now keep in mind, we are removing these ties, but my fabric is not stretchy at all. So I got a bun seam right now. I just ate. But keep that in mind when you're sewing your fabric, right? The next thing I did was, of course, I had to put a pin on how long I actually wanted it. And then I know a bunch of y'all were complaining that you couldn't see the pins, so I went ahead and made a purple line for you guys to see. And then we're just gonna go ahead and cut on that line to separate the two halves. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so this fabric down here, what used to be the bottom, will now be used as the sleeves. And since we're done with this pin, we can go ahead and put it away. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and hem this ahead of time. This is gonna be what I'm gonna hem next. I don't really feel like serging it, so I think I'm gonna do a double rolled hem, which you fold over once, and then you fold over twice, and then you sew it. So I am borrowing the sleeve pattern from this McCall's pattern piece. However, I did realize that I do have a problem. There's a seam going down the middle of my fabric, and I don't really want a seam in the middle of my sleeve. So we're gonna get creative here and trace this on a different paper so we can modify the pattern. Here's what I did. I basically copied the sleeve pattern exactly the way it was. The only difference is on the side here. When I was done copying it, I chopped it off, and then I basically put those two sides together where they're supposed to connect, and then I took it and put it on an official paper so there's no seam in the middle. And so basically this should connect to this side and this should connect to this side. So we have a sleeve extension. So I'm gonna cut this out, and then for the extension, I don't really want to use the other side because that's a lot of fabric, and then it's gonna have a weird shape. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna seam rip the bottom of this and see if this fits. Cross your fingers, hope it works. Let's see. All right, so here are my pieces. This one I kind of cut a little wonky, but that's fine. Basically I'm gonna take this, line up the edges, and then sew down. And then I'm gonna open it, and I'm gonna sew that side to this side. But before I do that, I need to sew a line or two from here to here together because this is going to be bigger, and then do the same with that one. Okay, so after measuring, I couldn't go from all the way down here. I had to take about like 2 inches in on both sides, and then I also hemmed it. Look how cute. But yeah, we have to add the elastic right here across. So what I did was I already went ahead and took elastic and measured it around my biceps or triceps, whichever one, and I squeezed a little bit tighter by like a centimeter. Now I'm gonna stitch it. What I decided to do actually, instead of the gathering, is I decided to make little pleats to be more accurate to what I want. So here are the pleats, and I'm putting them on the mannequin just to hold, and yeah, oops. Once I was done making sure the sleeves worked, I went ahead and pinned them down, and I just have to sew. I did adjust where the pleats go. They are no longer at the top of the seam. They're kind of moved over just a little bit to the front, right about there. Moving on to the neckline, I went ahead and put a pin on how far down I want my neckline to be. And what I'm gonna do is basically cut right there, take your shears and go directly straight. I know that you might want to give a little bit of a seam allowance, but cut directly straight across. I'm going to about this sleeve right here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and move straight up. So now I have my square neckline. I do need to create some sort of bias tape to put over this, so that way it is hemmed nice and neatly. This is an extra piece I had from when I cut the extender for the sleeves. This was the other side of it. I don't know if you can tell, it's quite a bit of fabric. Basically, I'm going to seam rip this part all the way through because I didn't seam rip it all the way through on the other side.
I'm gonna open it and I'm gonna cut it right at the folded seam all the way down. And I'm gonna take this tie because it's already made. I'm going to seam rip it open, and then just like I did with this one, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it all the way down the fold, so that way I have 3 of these strips, and this is what I'm gonna use as binding for the neck. There we go. I also clipped it so that way it folds a little bit easier. So I'm hoping that this is not too difficult to show you guys, but basically you take it, fold it in half, and it should rearrange itself into the 90-degree angle for your bias tape and your square neckline. And then you're done. So one last look on what the dress used to look like. Of course, boring and shapeless. This is how it turned out, you guys. I am so proud of it. I look so cute and absolutely adorable. And I just want to thank you guys because this is the first thing that I've made for myself in probably about 2 years. And I did not think that it would come out this great. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it.
So that's all that I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like,